I pulled into the driveway at 6:47 p.m. on a Wednesday, bone-tired from pulling a double shift at the warehouse. My supervisor badge felt heavy in my pocket. All I wanted was a hot shower. And maybe some leftover pizza. The living room lights were on. I could hear voices inside. Female voices laughing. I unlocked the door as quietly as I could, not trying to sneak exactly, just too exhausted to announce myself. That's when I heard her voice cutting through the chatter. Honestly, I don't think this marriage will last another year. He's falling so far below my level at this point. I froze in the hallway. 3 of her friends were sitting on our couch. Wine glasses everywhere. They all burst out laughing like she just told the funniest joke. "Girl, you've been too patient already," one of them said. "Way too patient," another agreed. My wife, sitting there in the middle of them, nodded like some kind of relationship expert holding court. I know, right? I keep thinking maybe he'll step up, but she trailed off with this theatrical sigh that made them all laugh. Again. I stood there for maybe 5 seconds. My heart was pounding, but my head went completely clear. You know, that moment when everything just clicks into place? When you finally see something you've been trying not to see. For way too long? I walked into the living room. All 4 of them turned to look at me. The laughter died instantly. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice level. "Interesting conversation." My wife's face went white. "Oh, you're home early. Double shift ended early. Good thing. Too. I almost missed the show." I looked directly at her, "So the marriage won't last another year." She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "That's not." I was just, "Why wait a year?" I asked. The calmness in my own voice surprised me. "Let's end it now." Dead silence. One of her friends actually put down her wine glass. "What?" My wife finally managed. "You heard me. You want out? Door's right there. Or I can leave. Either way works." I pulled my phone from my pocket and checked the time like I had somewhere to be. "What do you think? Should we call this now or keep pretending for 12 more months?" Her friends were staring at their laps. The confident laughing group from 30 seconds ago had vanished. "You're being ridiculous," my wife said, but her voice shook. "I was just venting to my friends. Everyone does that." "Venting?" I nodded slowly. "Right, falling far below your level. That's venting. Can we talk about this in private?" She stood up, her face flushed. "Why?" "Your friends already heard the important part. They know I'm beneath you." I looked at the 3 women on the couch. Did I get that right? Below her level. None of them would meet my eyes. I turned and headed for the stairs. My wife followed, her heels clicking frantically on the hardwood. "Where are you going?" "Packing," I said without turning around. "You can't be serious right now." I stopped on the landing and looked back at her. "You just told your friends our marriage is over. Why would I not be serious?" "That's not what I said." "That's exactly what you said." I continued up the stairs. She followed me into our bedroom, talking the whole time. Something about how I was overreacting. How it was just girl talk, how I was being dramatic. I tuned most of it out while I pulled my duffel bag from the closet. Work clothes, underwear, socks, toiletries from the bathroom, phone, charger. "This is insane," she said, standing in the doorway. "You're going to throw away 5 years of marriage because of one comment." I zipped the bag and turned to face her. "You think this is about one comment? You just spent the last hour trashing me to your friends, laughing about how I'm not good enough for you anymore." I picked up the bag. "And honestly, you're probably right. I'm not good enough for someone who talks about me like that." So, let's both upgrade. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? She didn't have an answer for that. I walked past her down the stairs. Her friends had already left. The wine glasses sat abandoned on the coffee table. I grabbed my keys from the hook by the door. Where are you going to go? She asked from the top of the stairs. Does it matter? Of course. It matters. This is your home. I looked up at her. No, this is a house where my wife thinks I'm beneath her. Not the same thing. Then I left. I sat in my truck for a minute before starting it. Hands on the steering wheel, breathing. The adrenaline was starting to wear off. My chest felt tight. But underneath all of that was something else, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. I started the engine and pulled out of the driveway. In the rearview mirror, I could see her standing in the doorway, backlit by the living room lights. I didn't look back again. The nearest motel was a Super 8 off the highway. $49 a night. The room smelled like old carpet and industrial cleaner, but it had a bed and a lock on the door. Good enough. I dropped the duffel on the floor and sat on the edge of the mattress. My phone buzzed. Then again, all from her. We need to talk. Please come home. You're being childish. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I turned the phone face down on the nightstand and stared at the wall. Tomorrow, I'd figure out my next move. Tonight, I just needed to process what the hell had just happened. My marriage was over. I'd known it for a while if I was honest with myself. Tonight just made it official. The phone kept buzzing against the nightstand. I ignored it. Eventually, exhaustion went out. I kicked off my boots and laid back on the thin motel pillow. The ceiling had a water stain shaped like Oregon. I closed my eyes. Tomorrow I deal with everything. Tomorrow. I woke up at 6:15 a.m. to my phone vibrating like a possessed thing. 23 missed calls, 47 text messages, all from her. I scrolled through them while the coffee maker in the corner of the room gurgled to life. Complimentary coffee packets. Better than nothing. The messages were a roller coaster. Anger, then apologies, then accusations, then more apologies. The most recent one sent at 4:37 a.m. Just said, please. I poured the coffee into a foam cup and sat back down on the bed. My work shirt from yesterday was wrinkled, but it would do. I had a shift starting at 8 o'clock. Life doesn't stop just because your marriage implodes. The phone buzzed. Again. Different name this time. Vanessa, my wife's best friend, the tall one with the short blonde hair who'd been sitting on the left side of the couch last night. I stared at the screen. We need to talk. It's important. About last night. I almost ignored it. Almost, but something made me respond. About what? 3 dots appeared immediately. She was typing, not over text. Can I call you? I looked at the time. 6:23 a.m. way too early for whatever drama this was going to be. Fine. I typed back. The phone rang 5 seconds later. Hey, Vanessa's voice was quiet. Nervous. Thanks for picking up. I wasn't sure you would. Make it quick. I have work in 90 minutes. Right. Okay. She took a breath. Look what you heard. Last night. That wasn't just venting. She's been planning this. I set my coffee down. Planning what? The divorce. She's been planning it for months. Since like February. 5 months ago. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Why are you telling me this? Because what she did last night was messed up. And because you need to know what you're walking into. Vanessa's voice got stronger. She's been setting you up. Setting me up? How? She wanted you to be the one to end it. She's been trying to push you into leaving first so she could claim abandonment. Make you look like the bad guy. Vanessa paused. She has a whole strategy. Her lawyer told her it would help with the asset division if you walked out. My hands went cold. The coffee cup shook slightly. She has a lawyer already since March. His name is Gregory something. Works downtown. Vanessa sighed. She's been documenting stuff, too. Writing down arguments you guys have had. Spinning them to make you look aggressive or neglectful. Building a case. I stood up and walked to the window. The parking lot was empty except for a few cars and a semi-truck idling in the corner. Why are you telling me all this? I asked again. You're her best friend because I was there last night. I saw what she did humiliating you in front of all of us, laughing about it like it was funny. That's not okay. Her voice cracked slightly. And because you've always been decent to me, to all of us, you didn't deserve that. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass. Does she know you're calling me? God, no. She'd lose her mind. Vanessa laughed, but it sounded hollow. Look, I'm not trying to blow up my friendship here, but someone needed to warn you. She's playing games. Serious games? What else? What do you mean? What else has she been doing? Planning? Vanessa went quiet for a moment. She's been taking screenshots of your bank account. Activities. Anything she thinks looks suspicious. She told us you were being secretive with money, but honestly, I think she's just trying to build ammunition. I'm not secretive with money. I pay the bills every month. She knows exactly where everything goes. I know, but that's not the story she's telling her lawyer. Another pause. She also told him you've been distant and cold for the past year. That you barely talk to her anymore, that you refuse to work on the marriage. That's not accurate. I know it's not. I've seen you guys together. You try. She's the one who's been checked out. Vanessa sighed heavily. Look, I'm recording this call, okay? I need you to know that. I'll send you the file. Use it however you need to. Just protect yourself. My brain was moving too fast. You're giving me permission to use this as evidence? Yes, absolutely. I'll testify if I have to. What she's doing isn't right. I sat back down on the bed trying to process everything. Why would you risk your friendship for me? Because it's not about you. It's about what's right. Vanessa's voice got firm. And honestly, after last night, I'm not sure I want to be friends with someone who treats people like that anyway. We sat in silence for a moment. Thank you, I finally said. Seriously, thank you. Just get a lawyer like today if you can. Don't wait. I will. Good. She exhaled. I'm sorry you're going through this. For what it's worth, I always thought you guys were solid. I guess I was wrong. Yeah, me too. After we hung up, I sat there staring at my phone. The coffee had gone cold. Outside, the sun was starting to come up, turning the parking lot a pale orange. My wife had been planning this since February. Documenting, building a case, trying to manipulate me into being the one to leave first, and it had almost worked. The phone buzzed again. Another message from her. Please talk to me. We can fix this. I typed back for the first time. Since leaving. Get a lawyer. I'll do the same. From now on, we communicate through them only. I hit send and turn off my phone. Then I got dressed for work. I had 65 minutes to shower, drive across town, and clock in. But first, I Needed to make one call. I found the business card in my wallet. Derek from shipping had given it to me 6 months ago when he went through his own divorce. Mr. Caldwell, family law attorney. I turned the phone back on and dialed before I could second guess myself. A receptionist answered on the 3rd ring. Professional, polite. I need to schedule a consultation, I said. As soon as possible. It's urgent. We have an opening this afternoon at 4:30 if that works. I thought about my shift. I could leave early, talk to my supervisor. This was more important. I'll take it. Perfect. Can I get your name? I gave her my information, confirmed the appointment, and hung up. Then I forwarded Vanessa's contact information and the audio recording. Sheet sent to my email. Saved it in 3 different places. Screenshot everything. My wife thought she was 3 steps ahead. She had no idea I just caught up. I grabbed my keys and headed out the door. The motel room suddenly felt too small. I needed to move, to work, to think. But underneath the shock and the anger was something else growing, something I hadn't felt in years. Control. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't reacting. I was planning. And she had no idea what was coming. The law office was on the 3rd floor of a building that had seen better days. Worn carpet, fluorescent lights, but clean, professional. Mr. Caldwell's secretary showed me into a small conference room at exactly 4:30. He walked in 2 minutes later. Mid-50s, gray hair, glasses, carried himself like someone who'd seen every divorce trick in the book twice. Thanks for seeing me. On such short notice, I said, shaking his hand. Derek spoke highly of you. Said you helped him through some rough patches at work during his split. He sat down across from me with a legal pad. So, tell me what's going on. I laid it all out. The conversation I overheard. Walking out, Vanessa's phone call this morning. The fact that my wife had been planning this since February, consulting a lawyer, documenting everything to make me look bad. Mr. Caldwell took notes the whole time, his face neutral. Do you have the recording Vanessa sent you? I pulled out my phone and played it. He listened to the entire thing without interrupting. When it finished, he leaned back in his chair. Well, that changes things considerably. Is it admissible? She told me she was recording and gave permission to use it. This is a one-party consent state. As long as one person in the conversation knows it's being recorded, it's legal. He tapped his pen against the pad and she's willing to testify. She said she would. Good. That's very good. He flipped to a new page. Let's talk about assets. Do you own the house? We rent leases in both our names. 2-bedroom. Place off Morrison Street. We've been there 3 years. Cars. I have a 2015 Ford truck. Paid off. She has a 2018 Honda. Still making payments on that one. Both titles are separate. Bank accounts. Joint checking. Joint savings. About 4,000 in savings, maybe 800 in checking right now. I deposited my paycheck yesterday. Mr. Caldwell wrote everything down. Any other assets? Retirement accounts, investments. I have a 401k. Through work. Started it 2 years ago when I made supervisor. Maybe 6,000 in there. She doesn't have one. She works part-time at a boutique downtown. Doesn't get benefits. Debt. That one stung a little. She has a credit card. Store cards, too. Maybe 7,000 total. All in her name, but I've been helping pay them down. You've been making payments on her debt. Yeah. She said we were a team. That's what teams do. He didn't say anything. Just kept writing. We went through everything. Timeline of the marriage, income disparity, who paid for what, her part-time job versus my full-time position, the fact that I covered rent, utilities, groceries, while she spent most of her earnings on clothes and dinners with friends. You said she's been documenting things. Do you have any documentation of your own? Bank statements going back 2 years. I keep them in a folder. Old habit from when my dad taught me about finances. Bring those to me. Also, from this moment forward, I want you to document every interaction with her, every text, every call, every conversation. Screenshot everything, email it to yourself, create a paper trail. Okay. One more thing. He looked at me directly. Do not under any circumstances leave the rental property permanently until we sort out the lease situation. You left temporarily, which is fine. But if you formally abandon the residence, that complicates things. Understand? Got it. Good. He closed his legal pad. I'll draft a petition for divorce and have it ready by Monday. We'll file immediately and serve her by the end of next week. Based on what you've told me and what's in that recording, I think we can negotiate a very fair settlement. Maybe better than fair. How much is this going to cost me? Initial retainer is $1,500. After that, I bill hourly. But given your situation and the evidence you've brought me, I don't anticipate this dragging on too long. She's not going to want that recording played in court. $1,500, that was most of my savings. But what choice did I have? Okay. When do you need it? Friday. Come by with the retainer and those bank statements. We'll get the paperwork started. I left the office feeling lighter than I had in 24 hours. I had a plan now. Direction. My phone had been off during the meeting. When I turned it back on, it exploded with notifications. More messages from her, increasingly frantic. We need to talk. You can't just ignore me. This is childish. I'm your wife. You owe me a conversation. I scrolled past all of them and typed one message. Speak to me only through lawyers from now on. Mine will contact you next week. Her response came back in seconds. Are you serious right now? I didn't answer. Instead, I drove to the bank and withdrew $1,500 from our joint savings. Documented it with a photo of the withdrawal slip, transferred the remaining savings to a new account in only my name. Legal, according to Mr. Caldwell, as long as I documented everything, then I stopped at Target. Bought a new notebook, pens, and a fireproof document box. Started my own paper trail. By the time I got back to the motel, it was almost 8 p.m. I was exhausted. But there was one more thing I needed to do. I called my supervisor at the warehouse. Pete, good guy. Former Marine, didn't tolerate drama, but understood when life got complicated. Hey, Pete. Got a minute? Sure. What's up? Personal situation. Going through a separation. Might get messy. Just wanted to give you a heads up in case she tries to call the warehouse or create problems. Silence for a moment, then. Sorry to hear that, man. You need time off. No work's actually the best thing for me right now. But if she shows up or calls asking for me, I'd appreciate it if you just told her I'm unavailable. Consider it done. And hey, if you need to talk or anything, my door's open. Thanks, Pete. Means a lot. After we hung up, I sat on the motel bed and opened the notebook. Started writing down everything I could remember from the past 6 months. Conversations, arguments, times she'd gone out with friends while I worked doubles. The credit card bills I'd paid without complaint. It was almost midnight when I finally stopped writing. My hand cramped, my eyes burned, but I had pages of documentation now. Dates, times, details. My phone buzzed one more time. Another message from her. You're making a huge mistake. I typed back without thinking. The mistake was listening to you tell your friends I wasn't good enough, but thanks for the clarity. Then I blocked her number. I'd communicate through the lawyer from now on. That was the plan. No more emotional manipulation. No more games. I laid back on the thin motel pillow and stared at the ceiling. The water-stained shape like Oregon was still there. Tomorrow I go back to work, keep my head down, maintain routine, wait for the lawyer to do his job. But tonight, for the first time since walking out of that house, I felt something other than shock or anger. I felt like I was finally playing offense instead of defense, and it felt good. Friday came faster than I expected. I dropped off the retainer and bank statements to Mr. Caldwell during my lunch break. He reviewed everything. While I waited, nodding occasionally, making notes. This is excellent documentation, he said. The disparity in spending is pretty clear. She's been treating your income like her personal fund while contributing minimal amounts. Herself. I never really thought about it that way. Most people don't until it's laid out like this. He tapped one of the statements. $400 at Nordstrom in one day. $300 at some restaurant I've never heard of. Meanwhile, you're covering the rent and utilities solo. I didn't say anything. Seeing it all on paper made it harder to ignore. I'll have the divorce petition ready by Monday afternoon. We'll serve her Tuesday morning. That fast. No reason to delay. The longer we wait, the more time she has to move assets or create problems. He closed the folder. One thing though, you still at that motel. Yeah, you should go back to the house. Legally, you have every right to be there. If you stay away too long, it could complicate things. The thought of going back there made my stomach turn. I don't know if I can do that. You don't have to stay long. Just establish that you haven't abandoned the property. Grab some more clothes. Check the mail. Make your presence known. He was right. I knew he was right. That evening, I drove back to the house. Her car was in the driveway, lights on inside. I sat in my truck for 5 minutes, building up the nerve. When I finally walked in, she was on the couch. Laptop open. Glass of wine on the coffee table. She looked up when she heard the door. You came back. I'm getting more of my things. Her face shifted. Hope, then confusion, then something harder. That's it. That's all you're going to say. What else is there to say? I headed for the stairs. She followed me. We need to talk about this. You can't just throw away 5 years. I went into the bedroom and pulled out a larger suitcase from the closet, started filling it with more clothes, my good boots, the watch my grandfather gave me. Are you even listening to me? I heard you. I folded a jacket and placed it carefully in the suitcase. But there's nothing to talk about. You made it clear where we stand. I made a mistake. One stupid comment. That's all it was. I stopped and looked at her. February? What? You've had a lawyer since February. You've been planning this for months, documenting things, spinning stories, setting me up to look like the bad guy. I zipped the suitcase closed. Don't insult me by calling it one stupid comment. Her face went white. Who told you that? Does it matter? It was Vanessa, wasn't it? That backstabbing. Don't. I cut her off. Don't blame other people for your choices. She switched tactics. Tears started forming. We can fix this. Go to counseling. Work through it. No. Just like that. No. Just like that. I picked up the suitcase. You wanted it out. Now you're getting out. Just not on your terms. I walked past her down the stairs. She was right. Behind me, voice rising. You're being selfish. Cruel. After everything I've done for you. I stopped at the door and turned around. What have you done for me? Honestly, spell it out. She faltered. I've been your wife. I've supported you. Supported me how? By spending money we don't have. By complaining about my job while I work doubles to keep us afloat. By telling your friends I'm beneath you. That's not fair. No. What's not fair is pretending this marriage was something it wasn't. You checked out a long time ago. I just didn't want to see it. I left before she could respond. Threw the suitcase in the truck bed and drove off. My phone rang. 20 minutes later. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello. Is this a pause? Is this the husband of the woman who drives the gray Honda? Weird question. Who's asking? My name's Lindsay. I'm one of the friends who was there Wednesday night. Listen, I feel terrible about what happened. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. That whole situation was wrong. I pulled into a gas station parking lot. Okay. She called me today. Try to get me to back her up. Say that you've been terrible to her for months. That you're controlling and aggressive. Lindsay's voice got quieter, but that's not accurate at all. I've never seen you be anything but nice to her. Patient even when she was being difficult. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't want to be part of whatever game she's playing. And because you should know she's calling all of us trying to build some kind of narrative. What did you tell her? That I wasn't going to lie for her? Lindsay sighed. I know we're not close, but if you need someone to verify what actually happened that night, I'll do it. Just putting that out there. I appreciate that. Seriously. After she hung up, I sat in the truck processing. My wife was scrambling, reaching out to friends, trying to control the story, but it wasn't working. Tuesday morning. I was at the warehouse loading pallets when Pete called me to the office. Got a delivery for you, he said, handing me a manila envelope. Process server just dropped it off. I opened it. Copy of the divorce petition. Mr. Caldwell had filed it yesterday afternoon. She'd been served this morning. My phone started ringing before lunch. Her lawyer. I let it go to voicemail. Called Mr. Caldwell instead. She got served. I told him. No. Her attorney already reached out. Wants to negotiate. That was fast. She knows she's in a bad position. The recording from Vanessa, the financial documentation, witness statements from her friends backing away from her story. She doesn't want this going to court. He paused. They're proposing a settlement meeting for Thursday. What do you think? I think we hear them out, but we don't accept anything that isn't fair to you. This isn't about being vindictive. It's about protecting your interests. Thursday afternoon, I met Mr. Caldwell at his office. We went over strategy for an hour before her lawyer arrived. A woman in her 40s, sharp suit, briefcase. That probably cost more than my truck. She laid out their proposal. My wife would take her car, her personal belongings, and waive any claim to my 401k. They'd split the remaining joint account 50/50ths. She wanted me to cover her credit card debt as part of the settlement. Absolutely not, Mr. Caldwell said before I could speak. That debt was incurred by her for her expenses. He has documentation showing he already paid thousands toward it. She can handle the rest. My client is only working part-time. She can't afford. Your client has a bachelor's degree and 10 years of work experience. She's capable of full-time employment. He slid a folder across the table. These are statements showing exactly how the joint funds were spent. Restaurant bills, shopping trips, spa days. Meanwhile, my client covered rent, utilities, and groceries solo. If anything, he's owed reimbursement. The lawyer flipped through the papers, her expression tightening. We're willing to negotiate, she finally said. So are we, but not on the debt. She keeps it. She also covers her own legal fees. They went back and forth for 20 minutes. Finally, they agreed on terms. Clean split. No spousal support on either side. She'd take her car in debt. I'd keep my truck in 401k. Joint accounts. Split evenly. Lease broken early, penalties split between us. It wasn't perfect, but it was fair. More importantly, it was done. We'll draw up the paperwork, her lawyer said, packing up her briefcase. Should be ready to sign by next week. After she left, Mr. Caldwell turned to me. You okay? Yeah, I think so. This was a good outcome. You protected yourself and came out without getting taken advantage of. That's a win. I drove back to the motel feeling strange. Lighter but also untethered. 5 years of marriage ending with signatures on paper. That night I got a text from my wife. Just one line. I hope you're happy now. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back. I'm not happy but I'm free. There's a difference. I deleted her number after that. Blocked it from my phone entirely. The next morning I started looking at apartments, small ones, affordable, closer to work. It was time to build something new. Something that was actually mine. The paperwork took 3 weeks to finalize. During that time, more information came out than I ever expected. Vanessa sent me screenshots, messages between my wife and her lawyer. From March discussing strategies to maximize the settlement, plans to document my behavior, exaggerate. Arguments, claim I was financially controlling when the bank statements proved otherwise. Mr. Caldwell added them to the file. Insurance, he called it. In case she tried to change the terms at the last minute. She didn't. When signing day came, she showed up at the lawyer's office looking tired. Hair pulled back, no makeup, different from the polished version she usually presented. We signed in separate rooms. I never saw her face that day. The fallout in her social circle happened faster than I anticipated. Lindsay wasn't the only one who reached out. Another friend, Ben, sent me a message apologizing for laughing that night. Said she felt ashamed watching it all unfold. She told us you were controlling and distant. Ben wrote, but after Vanessa told us what was happening, we realized she'd been lying about a lot of things. The group that used to meet twice a week for dinners and wine stopped inviting her. I heard about it through Derek at work, whose girlfriend knew one of them. Apparently, she tried to host something at her new apartment and only one person showed up. Eric told me during a break, karma's brutal sometimes. I didn't feel satisfaction hearing that, just emptiness. My wife moved into a studio apartment across town, got a second part-time job at a coffee shop to cover bills. The credit card debt she'd fought to avoid taking was now entirely hers. Meanwhile, I found a one-bedroom place 15 minutes from the warehouse. Nothing fancy, but it had decent light and space for my things. I moved in on a Saturday with help from Pete and Derek. Bachelor pad, Derek joked, setting down a box labeled kitchen. You're going to do just fine, man. Maybe. I wasn't sure yet. Work became my anchor. I threw myself into it. Picked up extra shifts when offered. Pete noticed and pulled me aside one afternoon. "You're doing good work," he said. "Keep it up and there might be an assistant manager position opening in a few months. Interested?" "Yeah. Definitely." Life moved forward slowly, but it moved. 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I was grabbing lunch at the Panera near work when someone called my name, Clara Whitaker. She worked in the accounting department at the warehouse. We talked a few times at company events. Always pleasant conversations about nothing important. "Hey," she said, walking over with her sandwich. "Mind if I sit?" "Go ahead." We talked about work for a while. Then she asked how I was doing. Not the polite version people ask when they don't care. The version that actually wants to know. "Getting there," I said honestly, one day at a time. "I heard about your divorce. I'm sorry you went through that." "Thanks. It was rough, but I'm better off now." She nodded, playing with her napkin. "This might be forward, but would you want to grab coffee sometime outside of work?" I looked at her. Really? Looked at her. Brown hair, warm smile, intelligent eyes. "Yeah," I said. "I'd like that." We exchanged numbers. Made plans for Saturday morning. When I left Panera that day, something felt different. Not happiness exactly, but possibility. That evening, I got one final text from an unknown number. My ex-wife using someone else's phone. "I hope she's worth it." I didn't respond, just deleted it and blocked that number, too. Some people never learn, but that wasn't my problem anymore. Saturday came. I met Clara at a coffee shop downtown. We talked for 2 hours about everything except my divorce or her past relationships. When we finally left, she smiled at me. "This was nice. Want to do it again?" "Absolutely." Walking back to my truck, I realized something. For the first time in over a year, I wasn't thinking about what went wrong with my marriage. I was thinking about what might go right next. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, Pete called me into his office. "Assistant manager position is yours if you want it," he said. "Comes with a raise. Salary instead of hourly. Better benefits." I shook his hand. "I want it." "Good. You've earned it." The promotion meant better hours, more responsibility, and enough money to actually start saving again. I moved into a nicer apartment. This time, a 2-bedroom with a small balcony. Bought furniture that was actually mine. Not remnants from a failed marriage. Clara and I had been dating for 4 months by then. Nothing rushed, nothing complicated, just 2 people getting to know each other without baggage weighing everything down. She met me at my new place one Saturday with coffee and bagels. "This looks great," she said, looking around. "Feels like you." "Yeah. It does." We spent the afternoon setting up my living room. She had better taste than me and didn't hesitate to say so. I didn't mind. It felt good having someone who could be honest without it turning into a fight. Later, we were sitting on the balcony when she asked, "Do you ever think about her?" "Sometimes," I admitted, "but not the way I used to. More like remembering a chapter that's finished." "That's healthy." "What about you? Ever think about your ex?" "Only when I remember why I left him." She smiled. "Mostly, I'm just glad I did." We sat in comfortable silence after that, watching the sun go down. I ran into Vanessa at Target a week later. She looked different, shorter hair, more confident. Somehow. "Hey," she said. "How are you?" "Good. Really good, actually." "You?" "Same. I heard about your promotion." "Congratulations." "Thanks and thanks again for what you did. I never properly told you how much that helped." She waved it off. I just did what was right. Besides, I'm better off without that friendship. Anyway. Turns out she wasn't the person I thought she was. Yeah, I know the feeling. We talked for a few more minutes before going our separate ways. It felt like closing a loop. 3 months later, I was at a work event when someone mentioned seeing my ex-wife. She'd moved again, apparently. Smaller place, still working 2 jobs, still alone. I felt something then. Not satisfaction, not pity, just acceptance that people make choices and live with them. Clara squeezed my hand under the table. You okay? Yeah, I am. And I meant it. That night, lying in bed, I thought about that Wednesday evening 8 months ago, walking into my house and hearing my wife tell her friends I wasn't good enough. The humiliation, the anger, the decision to just leave. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because I enjoyed pain or wanted revenge, but because it forced me to stop accepting less than I deserved. To stop making excuses for someone who didn't respect me. To finally choose myself. My phone buzzed. Text from Clara. Thanks for tonight. See you tomorrow. I smiled and typed back. Definitely. Then I set the phone down and closed my eyes. Tomorrow, I'd go to work at a job I'd earned through actual effort. Come home to an apartment I paid for myself. Maybe see Clara, maybe not. Either way, I'd be fine because I'd learned something important through all of this. You can't build a future with someone who's secretly planning your exit. You can't love someone into respecting you. And you can't win a game you didn't know you were playing. But you can walk away, start over, build something better. And that's exactly what I did. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.